Hello, did you miss me? It's Jake from Holiday Extras, and we are here at the end of our little jaunt over to Portugal to see what it's like in the very first travels after the UK lockdown, now that international travel is back on. And as you saw earlier in some posts, you might have seen on the little community page on our YouTube channel, we have been asking for questions from both our YouTube page and our Facebook page, which have been compiled for me by our clever, lovely team into a lovely little document that I'll be going through, addressing all of the questions. It's on this phone, so I'm not texting. If you see me looking down at my phone, just looking through this document and the questions I've got. I'm with you, I'm paying attention, promise. So what I'm going to do first is just talk about what the journey was like and all of the testing that was involved and stuff like that, and then I'll move on to the actual questions. Okay, so basically, to get into Portugal, we needed to have a PCR COVID test up to 72. Sorry about the glasses again, like you've got the sun behind you, so I would be really struggling to look at the camera if I didn't have them on. But you need to do a COVID test. You need to have a recent negative test before you'll be allowed into Portugal, and it has to be a PCR test, which means you need to book it online. A bit of Googling will sort that out for you just fine. It was easy enough for us to find our local provider at a pharmacy nearby. What was the name?
Medic Spot.
Medic Spot we used. Lovely service. You basically, our tests were £150 each. You go to the pharmacy, you pick up a little box, it has everything in there, like, you know, all the stuff that you stick up your nose. Really clear instructions, really, really nice little product. And then you put everything back in the box and you seal it with a sticker that comes inside, give it back to the pharmacy, and you have your test results within 24 hours. So you do have to get the timing right on the planning. Like I said, it can be up to 72 hours before you fly away, but it takes 24 hours for you to get your results. So I guess the easiest way to explain that would be how we did it, which was we were flying Monday evening, Monday being the first day the travel was allowed, and we gave our tests back. So we did our tests and gave them to the pharmacy on Saturday morning. So then that was 24 hours. We got our results on Sunday. They email you a little certificate. And then, yeah, when we got to the airport, it was so quiet. It was so quiet. Like, I think we might have been the only plane flying out that evening, because the only people I saw around, I saw at every stage of the airport journey, like, you know, in the prep before security, in the prep after security. Yeah, only Prets are open, Prets and WH Smith. And whenever you go to anywhere in the airport, you have to scan the NHS COVID app. They're very aggressive about that. They stop you as you go in, just to make sure you're not going to sit somewhere. Or if you do sit somewhere, you've got to scan that NHS COVID app for the track and trace. And before we checked in, yeah, we made sure we brought printed copies of everything with us, basically. So we had things electronically and we had things printed. But when you check in, we flew with EasyJet. The lady from EasyJet was checking everyone's documents, so your passport and your boarding pass, and that for getting into Portugal, you both had evidence of your recent negative PCR test, and that you had the finished, what's it called? Passenger locator form. That was it. So the Tourism Board of Portugal has a passenger locator form, so that they know they have contact details for you on record, and they know that you've visited the country. Easy to find online, but a lot of people in the queue didn't seem to have realised that was one of the things you needed to do. It came up in our research, so, you know, we had ours done already, but do make sure that you get that passenger locator form done, because they won't let you in if you don't. Basically, all the info that's in it, it's easy to fill out. It's like an A4 page. And what it asks for is some contact information from you, your address, your mobile number, an emergency contact, and also the address of the place you're staying, for us being this lovely hotel. So once we'd given that, we were just sent through security, and everything was very much business as usual. You know, everywhere in the airport, we flew from Luton, you need to wear a mask when you're walking between places. You need to, do you want to take a pause there?
That's right.
Yeah? Okay, cool. You need to wear a mask when you're walking in between places, but if you're sat at a table, like say in a Pret or something like that, you can take the mask off. It's like anywhere else indoors in the UK, right? Like, I say that's only come around today, but you know, if you're sitting in a beer garden in the UK, you've got to wear your mask walking around. You can take it off when you sit down, and that was kind of the fundamental rule at the airport as well. And yeah, getting onto the flight was easy. The flight was, you know, it was full. they don't have any distancing in place in terms of the chairs, right? Like I was sat with a lady either side of me that I didn't know, but you have the peace of mind of knowing that everyone on that flight has had a recent negative test. And on the flight, you have to wear your masks constantly. Unless, which was the other thing, you're eating. And then you can just take it off and eat or drink and put the mask back on. And surprisingly, it was not that uncomfortable. Like I was really expecting that it would be kind of really uncomfortable and stuffy to be caught in that mask for that long, sitting on the airplane. But because the air in the airplane is so cool and kept so cool, and you're sat down, you're not walking around or talking or anything like that, it was really not uncomfortable. It wasn't stuffy or anything. Like, if I had a better mask, I would have forgotten that I was wearing it. And I say if I had a better mask because I wore a cheap one because I'm thrifty, and it meant that it had like really small thin string around the ears that just really cut into my ears. So I was a bit sore on top of my ears, and that was about it. First world problems, right? Sore it is. I get to be here. The weather has been absolutely lovely, and it's been you know, social distancing and masks and disinfecting everywhere, but it's just been, which has made you feel safe, and it's just, I've got to say, surprisingly normal, right? I was a bit nervous about this trip. Obviously, I've got to admit, I was a bit nervous about, you know, coming here after the pandemic and stuff like that, and the travel, but it's just been really normal and really nice, right? Wish I booked an extra day on so I could get in that pool. But no, we're busy bees here at Holiday Extras Travel Guides. And with that, I'm just going to quickly go through some of the questions that we have prepared. So, do you need a mask in the airport? Yes, as I mentioned, we had to wear our masks in the airport everywhere. You need to be prepared to wear a mask basically from the moment that you get in your departing airport until you get to your hotel, because you need to wear it on the plane, you need to wear it in your transfer taxi or on the bus, you know, so make sure you've got a good mask, because unless you're, say, sat at a table in a coffee shop in the airport, that's the only kind of time you're going to be able to take it off, if at all. Do I have to wear a mask if I'm exempt? Okay, so I think that that really depends on where you're going and the airline. So I would really recommend reading into that first. But the evidence seems to be, at least for EasyJet, that if you are medically exempt from having to wear a mask, you need a signed written note from your doctor, like a doctor's note, to confirm that. And then I think that, you know, you can be exempt from wearing the mask on the plane. Otherwise, you need to wear it. Is there food on the plane? Question after my own heart. Yeah, there is, luckily. I think they mentioned something about it being a reduced menu, but you have to wear your mask at all points on the plane, but if you're eating, drinking, then you can temporarily take it off. Has to go straight back up afterwards. And they've got like their little single serving bottles of bubbly and their little beers, so like if you really want to, you know, celebrate with a bit of a tipple on the way out, you can absolutely do that. They've got all of that. The little trolley goes up and down the aisle, don't you worry. What tests do you need to get into Portugal? So what tests do you need to get into Portugal? As I said, you need a PCR test. A lateral flow test isn't enough to get into Portugal. You need a recent PCR test. You need to have done it within 72 hours of you flying out. And those ordinarily take about 24 hours to turn around. So factor that in when you're, if you're planning a holiday here. Because if you're leaving this all to the last minute, you're doing it wrong. You need to get educated in advance, make sure you've got plenty of time for like booking these tests and stuff. Do you need to wear a mask on the beach? No, you don't. So when you're here, if you're outside, largely it's without a mask, right? Like walking to and fro in the hotel, if you're going inside any shops or anything like that, yeah, you have to wear a mask all the time. If you're just out on the beach, no, you don't need to. Like, it's nicely ventilated, you don't have to wear a mask. Obviously, if you choose to, whilst you're walking through the streets and stuff, between shops, you're very welcome to. No one's going to stop you, but I don't think it's a legal requirement. But that could change. That could change. So, you know, it's always worth checking online just in case. How'd you get from the airport to the hotel, and did you have to wear a mask? So we got an airport transfer that we booked via Holiday Extras, and it was really, really lovely, easy service, pick up from the airport, drop off straight at the hotel. But yeah, you do have to wear a mask inside. The guy was really lovely about it. He waited for us to put our masks on, and he gave us some hand sanitizer and stuff like that, so felt very safe, felt very good. What's the food like in the hotel? What is available? So the food's lovely in the hotel, and I wonder if this question was maybe leading into, can you like sit indoors and eat? Are there restaurants? Yeah, the restaurants are open. You can sit indoors and eat. You'll need to wear your mask while you're walking around, but when you're sat at your table, eating and drinking, yeah, like you can take your mask off and enjoy a nice meal in a restaurant. We had breakfast in the restaurant this morning. It was very lovely. It was the same kind of like, you know, resort buffet breakfast you would expect, but you don't serve it to yourself, so you're not touching all of the implements everybody has. They have a member of staff on to like, you know, give you your spoonfuls of scrambled eggs. What is next? What's the weather like? Mate, it's gorgeous. Gorgeous. It's been like 26, 27 all day. Feels even hotter than that because it's so clear, so blue, very warm. I think I'm a bit pink in a couple of places, but what a lovely treat, right? It's been amazing weather. I don't know, I haven't been keeping track of what the weather's like back in the UK, but it's pretty rubbish when we set out, so it's been a really nice treat. What mask can you wear on the plane? Okay, so it does need to be a surgical mask or a fabric mask, right? Like a fitted face mask. It can't be a scarf and it can't be a visor. Like it can't be one of those plastic sheets on the front of your face. It does need to be a fitted face mask. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. Like I said, just make sure you get a really, really nice, comfortable one because it's not worth the hassle, I don't imagine, of having a cheap, tight mask for all that time. My poor ears can tell you that. Like I said, those little strings that were cutting into my ears, terrible. I had a right old whinge to poor JC about it afterwards. Restaurants outside seating only. No, like I just mentioned before, restaurants are seated indoors as well. Like in the UK, you'll need to wear your mask to walk from place to place inside the building. But once you're at a table, yeah, you can eat indoors. You can enjoy your food at local restaurants. Most, like 80-90% of the restaurants seem to be open, and the ones that aren't, it looks like they're preparing to open. So yeah, plenty of places to eat, plenty of places to drink, but you should be aware that at the moment, their COVID restriction rules mean that everywhere, all restaurants and bars need to be closed at 10:30. This caught us on the first night because we were late coming in from the flight, obviously, so it meant that we got here really late, we were starving hungry, we went down to the restaurant, but it was 10 o'clock and they wouldn't seat us, and they really politely, really nicely explained that it's because the law is that they have to be closed out at 10:30. They can't just like finish serving people and run over, not allowed. So we couldn't have sat down, had dinner, you know, turned all of that around in half an hour, it just wouldn't have happened. So yeah, if you're a late eater, you're going to have to eat a little bit early, I'm afraid, or, you know, buy some snacks for your hotel room. Our shop's open for tacky souvenirs. Yeah, they're open. You can get all your lovely, you know, your lovely overly detailed fridge magnets and your little lighthouses and stuff like that. You absolutely can. All the shops are open. We went to Albufeira Old Town today and it was really gorgeous. All the shops were open with all the little like souvenirs, inflatables, hats, stuff like that, like all open. Some of them though were only accepting cash. We were thinking that maybe it was going to be a case of like, oh, everywhere has to be contactless like in the UK, but no, there were some places that didn't take card. So we would still recommend getting some euros if you do visit Portugal. Maybe go like a 50-50 or something, maybe load up on a cash card as well. There are ATMs here, there were ATMs in Albufeira, so yeah, it's good to bear in mind.
We just had a question, how much were the PCR tests?
How much were the PCR tests?
Yeah.
Okay, so our PCR tests were £149 each, but I think now that same test is available for 120, and we've been hearing that there are some package holiday providers that will include the PCR test in their package holiday, all the testing that you'll need, and I think there are some providers as well that might be looking for as low as 60. So I can tell you that they're not pennies, but certainly I think as they become more required, more common, it's going to get more competitive and the money's probably going to come down. Like I said, it's already happened. We paid 150, that test is now 120, so yeah, it's in that kind of range, right? Oh, and the next question I think I might have already answered, do I need to use my card everywhere? No, like I think that there is a lot of places are still taking cash, if not still taking cash, require cash. So it's probably worth bringing a bit of both, or if not, making sure you've got a loaded up cash card with some euros on it to get some cash out if you find an ATM.
Same guys asked, where will we get our lateral flow test before we fly back?
Before you fly back? Oh, okay, yeah, that's a really good question actually. that's all the ones I've got written down. But the lateral flow test on the way back, basically, when you first get to the airport, when we got to Faro Airport, and there's signage everywhere with QR codes and links to show you who you can email, who you can ask to get your lateral flow test for the return journey. We did all of that. We emailed them. You know, we got all the information, and basically in Faro Airport, they're offering appointment-free, as in no appointment, lateral flow tests. You just need to walk in and get it. So we're doing that tomorrow. We're flying back tomorrow. We're just going to the airport and having our lateral flow test at the airport in an area just before check-in, so they say. It costs €30. So that's, you know, a lot more reasonable than the PCR, but I think that's the case across the board, is lateral flows are cheaper. But it does take 1 to 2 hours to turn those test results around. So if you are getting your lateral flow test on the other side to come home in the airport, yeah, just make sure you're going a couple of hours early to the airport, because like I think it's a small price to pay, a couple more hours spent in the airport to know that it's all done and dusted. Do you know what I mean? And to not have to make an extra trip to the airport. If you were doing it like a different day, you'd have to make an extra trip to get it done. And so for us, I think, you know, we can find somewhere to sit and have a coffee knowing that the testing is done and that we can feel safe and secure in that, right? So yeah, at the airport, short answer. At the airport, €30, no hassle. But yeah, so I think, you know, got through all of our questions, taken a couple of live questions, told you the whole experience of our nice little trip here. I hope that you guys are having a nice time, getting some trips planned in. It has really been really lovely. Like I said, I was quite nervous about this trip. So glad I did it, because it's just, it feels so normal and it feels very safe, all the precautions that are being taken and the extensive testing and stuff like that. Yeah. So I will see you soon. We're posting like a more comprehensive video about this trip shortly. We've been filming some stuff while we've been here, so we should be able to get that to you guys shortly. And yeah, let us know in the comments of this video if you've got any other questions. Just let us know below and we'll do our best to answer them, you know, comprehensively, or we can direct you to the next video. But yeah, thanks guys. Signing off from sunny Portugal. I'm Jake from One of the Extras. Bye.